Hello everyone, yes, it's that time again. We are back. That's right. I'm getting ready to jam, and everyone, I hope that you're all well, and I hope that everything's been going okay. Happy Diwali to all my Hindu friends. I know that it's a little bit later now from Diwali, so I hope everything's okay. I'm going to be shortly joined by immigration lawyer and specialist from landlords solicitors, Bushan Deepchand. He's been championing immigration for a long period of time. As soon as he joins, then I will basically bring him on. This is going to be done on the mobile. I'm in the kitchen again. I like the kitchen, and the kitchen is a great place. It's a wonderful venue to have. So we're just waiting for Bushan to come in. As soon as he does, I'll bring him straight on. Then we will take it from there. If you've got any questions about immigrations, if you are anyone that feels, you know what, the new laws, what's going on right now, what's happening, how's it going to affect me, how's it going to affect my family, how can I bring people over if I'm from the EU, Mauritius, India, Pakistan, the West Indies, Latin America, they're all playing a big thing right now. So let's do this. Bushan's coming in, and it's interesting because Facebook has actually changed the mobile settings on the Facebook Live. So now it's quite tricky. Now got on Bushan. Thank you for joining in.
Hello, Hadi. Hi.
Hi,
Thank you
how's it going, Bushan? You okay?
for the invitation today for this evening.
No, thank you for joining me. I know you're an extremely busy man, especially with the court at the moment. Quite crazy right now.
Yes, definitely. But I can always make time for you. It's a pleasure.
So, just to get into it, started. Aim is connected live on replay. Feel free to put in a question anytime. We should be here to answer your questions. If you want to talk to him after the event, by all means, he's more than happy to take on your details to contact you afterwards. We feel, me personally, I'm greatly honored to have you on. Um, Before further ado, let me introduce everyone. This is Bushan Deepchand from Language Solutions. And Bushan, tell us about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm from Mauritius, as you know. So, I came to the UK a long time ago. It's been about, over 20 years now. I came here as a student and ended up staying here and practicing as a lawyer in the UK for a period of time now.
How long have you been working in the law field?
It's been a while. I've been. It's probably about 15, 16 years now. About 15 years, I would say. Yeah.
What made you come into law?
Sorry.
What made you become a lawyer?
Well, it's something that I always wanted to do since I was a child. So I've had the inspiration from a very young age to be a lawyer. So I've done it now. So I just want to move on and do something else now. Well, not now, but in the future.
And you champion, you work in the area of immigration, as opposed to other areas, and you've got your own legal firm, Lambert Solicitors. What made you set up your own law firm?
Well, I don't do, just to clarify on that point. I don't do just immigration. I mean, obviously, I started doing immigration, but I do a lot of stuff: immigration, crime, family, civil litigation, and conveyancing, and court of protection, and things like that. So yeah, it's not just immigration, but immigration is what I started a very long time ago, and I've been doing it for about 15 years. And it's something that I've done quite well on that, and I think I made a name in immigration, in the immigration practice. Yeah. Um, Having a firm is it's just something that I always wanted to have. Obviously when you practice at some stage, and I set up my firm in 2010. So it's been over 10 years now, about 10 years or 10 and a half years since I've been in practice, approaching my law firm. But yeah.
And you moved originally from Brixton.
Yeah.
We're starting to get some feeds coming through. So people are coming in. Thank you guys for joining in and watching. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to do this. If you've got any questions, again, this is what this is about. And he's here to answer your questions for you. If he can answer them now, he will. If he can't, then we'll move on to, when he can answer them. So you started off in Techno Estates in Brixton.
Yeah. That was
God damn it, we've lost.
yeah, that was when I started my law firm. So originally I was in partnership with somebody else, but then obviously we moved on from that point, and yeah, I started in Techno States, sharing the office with Techno States, and then now I moved out of Techno States. I think it was in January 2014.
Yeah.
So it'd be 7 years since we're on Brixton High Street now.
Yeah, you are actually above, I think, was it the Barclays Bank or the KFC?
The Barclays Bank, yeah, just
Yeah,
about
so
above.
if anyone knows the Brixton area that well, you know where he is. He's in a very, very good high footfall area. Okay, right. So we've understood that you moved, you've got a partner, you're a huge law firm, and you specialize in many areas, although
Yeah,
you personally studied in immigration. So let's see. So with some of the questions that have been coming at me when I was throwing this stuff out, one of the key things that was being asked was what's going to be happening after the UK has definitely exited and done Brexit, because officially we're actually out of the EU. We've left the European
yeah,
Union, but we're still in that transition period, and the transition period ends, I think, next month.
yeah. 31st of December, 2020.
So,
Yeah. Well,
so
been there's been some discussions about this date being extended. But there's this as it stands today. There's the date is still there, 31st of December 2020, until we hear otherwise. So yeah, a lot of things will happen. So technically, I think what's going to happen after the 31st of December, well, then people will not be able to benefit from the European law. As you probably know, that we have two sets of legislations and laws. So people from European countries or people having a European passport, they have different rights deriving from the European treaties, and they've got what we call free rights to free movement or free movement
mm,
rights, etc. So they can move from one country to another EU state and live there, take up employment, and do anything else that they're entitled to do in their own country. But those rights will be coming to an end. Technically from the 31st or by the 31st of December 2020. What that means is that anybody living in the UK or the last date that a person, if somebody wants to come and stay in the UK and benefit from that EU rights, is the 31st of December 2020. So once this is the key part. So anyone who wants to benefit from that law, they should physically be in the country and exercising their treaty rights on the 31st of December 2020.
hmm.
And then
Sorry, I'm just thinking. So that means if you're in holiday in a coronavirus state and you come back, just pick up some laundry, you have to quarantine for 14 days.
yeah,
I'm not suggesting that anyone's going to do this, but there is a chance that it could actually happen that way. That people will go abroad, they'll come back from their holiday because they'll still take full benefit and advantage of the European Union right to free movement, freedom of movement. And when
Yeah.
they're back and they have to quarantine for 14 days, that time could actually pass from the 31st into, let's say, the 4th, the 2nd or 3rd or 4th of January by the time they come out of the quarantine. How would they then be affected? Would they, they would be
Well,
still okay in the UK?
yeah. I mean, well, if for example, it doesn't apply to people who are already living and working in the UK. So, for
Mm.
example, EU who are already working, well, living and working in the UK, and they've got pre-settled status. They don't need to have pre-settled status as of 31st of December 2020. They can do that up till, I think that the time is June 2021.
Yeah.
So what it says is that anyone coming to the UK in a way, coming to the UK for the first time, or anybody who wants to benefit from the EU rights, they have to be physically in the UK
Mm.
by the of December 2020. So technically, what I mean is new people,
Yeah.
people coming.
Mm.
But and obviously they've got until I think June 2000, 30th of June 2021 to apply for settled status or pre-settled status in the UK. So that includes EU member and their family.
Ah, that's
So
fantastic because there's a lot of people who are concerned about that.
yeah,
Once UK has definitely come out on the 31st of December 2020, what will happen next? And again, it's families and that kind of thing. Because there's been quite a few people, and I'll say Polish, Albanian, Romanian background, Bulgarian backgrounds, they've come and they've married UK citizens and they've had children since that kind of time. So what would then happen in their situation is that's going to give it a little bit more how can I put this, confidence
yeah,
that they're not going to be torn apart as families.
that's right. Yeah, especially for example, very often you have people who's got European passports. So, for example, somebody who's got a French passport, as an example,
Mm.
and they've got families in, they've got parents or siblings in Pakistan or India, Mauritius,
Yeah.
or anywhere in the world. So, but the person who's got the EU passport holder is living and working in the UK, so they are allowed to bring their family members to the UK by making an application as an extended family member or a family member. So the last day for them to do that would be the 31st of December 2020. Yeah,
Okay. No, that's brilliant. We're getting a lot of viewers coming in. Guys, if you want to ask anything, let us know if you're enjoying this. Give us a like. Give us. I'm pretty sure I should be able to see any kind of questions that will come up. Can someone just put in a quick hello, just for me, just or give me a quick sign, like a heart, a love, or a like, or even an angry face, that kind of thing. Just give me something because I want to make sure that I can monitor your comments that are coming through, as this is definitely a new one. Viresh, thank you. Hi, Hadi from Canada. Thank you, Viresh, for joining in. I'm right, so that's brilliant. So we've got a comment going on. So guys, the comments are working. If you want to ask a question, feel free, ask a question. If it affects you in any way, or a friend or a family member that needs some help, feel free, ask, because I want to make sure that everyone feels confident and understands what's going to happen next, and not feel, what's going to happen next. So I want to make sure that everyone's happy with this. That's an added benefit because Bushan's part of this group. So, thanks for that. Okay,
yeah,
so from the legal side of things, here's what I wanted to
yeah,
find out, because this is one of the key things that came up in one of the groups that I posted, which was there's a lot of legislation that from the European Union, like working time regulations or working time directive, which limits the amount of hours you can work up to 48 hours per week. There's one, the minimum wages, and also trade. Goods going backwards and forwards, because there's a lot of people that will be doing trades. And finally, regulations. Now, again, being a mortgage advisor and the FCA, there's a lot of directives, and like the mortgage credit directives that came out, the retail distribution review that was linked in with a lot to do with financial services, but European regulations. um, what will happen with those legislations? Are they going to still remain the same, or are they going to be repealed post, because nothing's come out from the FCA or any of the other areas yet, or government that I know of. So it'll be quite interesting to find out what will happen next.
Yeah, I mean, post Brexit, I think they have to, to make changes to all the relevant legislation to make sure that they adapt to UK, UK settings. Um, Obviously, we're not going to be part of EU anymore, so technically, changes it's all that there will be changes to the legislation. Uh, there are some currently we are benefiting, or put it a different way, that we have a wider spectrum in terms of legislation and also um, compliance that we have to do. So
Yeah,
all
compliance is a big thing.
all the changed and make it UK
You're breaking
compliant.
up. Can
Sorry,
you
can you
say
hear me
that
now?
again? Because you're breaking up quite heavily there. I can hear you now, but you
Oh,
you you literally froze at the key points.
oh, okay.
You
Yeah, sorry.
you got to compliance.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that there will be changes.
Mm.
Well, as to changes are inevitable because uh, since we're not going to be part of the EU, uh, um, so again, because this is all part of the negotiations that the UK government will make with the EU, because the impact is it impacts a lot of, it's not, there's a lot of things at stake at the moment, especially when it comes to trade and you know movements of EU people or even the British. So there's a lot of negotiations that has to be made, and in terms of the financial aspect as well. So we're not sure at the moment. There's a lot of lenders in the current market that are based overseas, like in the EU,
Yeah.
European Community. So
Yeah.
all the there should be new guidance, new compliance coming up as to how those lenders and those financial institutions will operate in the UK and do their business transactions. So at the moment, there's nothing clear that has come up, as far as I'm aware. But certainly, those are things that we will be looking to in the future.
It's funny you mentioned that when you're talking about banks and building societies and some, that are, well, even other financial institutions that are based in Europe.
Yes.
I think eToro was one of them as a trading platform. So it was regulated and governed by the Cypriot financial authorities, and they've had to have an independent application to the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, so they can actually be able to be used here, traded here. So if you're on an eToro platform in the UK, doing it for trading, they're just going through their regulatory approvals in the UK at the moment, even though they will still be trading, but they just try and get everything in place because of the deadlines coming up. So that's a real practical thing that's going on there.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's a lot of in my view, there's a lot of things that has to be done in a very short period of time, because
Mm.
December is not, it's not far away. So with the disruption that we've had from coronavirus um, pandemic situation. So it is likely that the deadline could be extended. Heard nothing, to say that these dates are going to be set back. But we'll have to wait and see how things happens. But in terms of immigration, um, a lot of I think people will realize that from the 1st of January 2021, a lot of changes will affect them in the sense that at the moment, EU members and their families, um, so they are not, they don't need to comply with the regulations or the law, the UK immigration laws.
Mm.
For example, if they were to sponsor their wife or children to come to join them in the UK, so they don't need to meet the financial requirements and English language test.
Mm.
But from the 1st of January, they will be subject to the normal immigration rules, which means that they will have to show that they are earning more than 18,600 to be able, 18,600 per year to be able
Mm.
to sponsor their wife. And if they've got children, then there's additional money that they need to show, additional income. And also their spouse will need to demonstrate that they will need to demonstrate their proficiency in English. So technically, they need to show that they can speak English, they can read English, and they can write English. So those will be part of the requirement. I think um, they are. There may be. Well, I would say currently there may be people who are coming from various part of Europe who has difficulty in communicating in English. But those people
Mm.
will find, they will have to face those challenges to be able to come to the UK, and those criteria will have to be satisfied before coming to the UK. So they will have to make an entry clearance application from their country to show that they can satisfy those rules and before getting the relevant visa to come to the UK. So I think the best part of the challenge will come from the 1st of January 2021.
Well, on that note, I'm just going to say this, guys. This is not a uh, how can I put this? A political statement anywhere. This is just basically explaining what the facts are that are going to be affecting us. Whether you vote for Brexit, didn't vote for Brexit, whatever it is, however you feel, it's going to affect all of us. So it's just giving bits of advice. I know there's a lot of people in here in my mortgage advisor group that also do things like Amazon affiliate marketing stuff or trade on eBay as a part-time business, and some of the sales that they make will go to Europe. So this is something out there that you guys, if you got any kind of questions, we've had a stack load of viewers here. I'm really thankful that you guys are taking your time out to actually join in on this. So just feel free, ask a question, or let us know if you're enjoying this. And if you are enjoying this, smash that like button. Let us know that. I want to know that what we're doing is fine. And if you got any kind of questions or comments that you want to add, feel free, add it in. Don't just be a silent witness for us, guys. Let's get more engagement and activity here. Okay, right. So one of the leading back to that, again, this is going away from the EU side of things, but this is actually a little bit more about. You mentioned Mauritius, Pakistan, India. We've got a lot of people who sponsor people from those countries as well as now, we've also got Latin America, and there's also, I don't know what's going on with the West Indies because the West Indies is, different countries, independent countries, although it's grouped together as one. So you got Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, Tobago, those kind of areas. Are they going to be affected in the same way as what's going to happen with Europe, or is there going to be a bit more leniency because they're looking at the UK is looking to open more trade with those particular countries?
When it comes to immigration, it's just one set of immigration rules that applies to everybody else. The only difference, the only people, if I could say, the people or class of people that were treated differently were well, European passport holders. Um, but at the moment, as far as I'm aware, there has to be, well, they will be treated equally, so subject to the same immigration rules. I don't think there would be, in my view, any preference given to them or any special treatment. I don't think that's, I don't think that's the case here. Um, so the law will still be applicable in the same manner to everybody, universal, I would say.
Okay, that's cool. So also that leads to another point, which is the courts. You know, I know that whenever I call you, some of the times you're actually in court yourself. How are you finding the court system at the moment for processing? Is it going quite fast? Are they in a backlog?
Well, it's heavy backlog because obviously, you see, because this current pandemic situation has not been beneficial to anybody, including the court. So everyone is suffering. Funny enough, I mean, I had a case even well, not yesterday. I got a phone call for a case that was listed in August this year, has been adjourned to January 2022. So
What?
yeah, the case was listed in August 2020, and that's been adjourned for January to. So that gives you an indication as to how you know how long the cases are being listed, and also it gives you an indication of how the court system is currently, um, how they are in a difficult position in listing cases and hearing cases. Obviously, they are, with COVID-19, so there's been the court has put special measures in place, like, for example, there are certain cases being, able to process, for example, to go forward as normal. When I say normal, I mean, we are being able to being processed in the system. For example, cases going in the magistrate court, and certain cases in some family courts. So, but the rest, there are some cases are being heard through video link, and some cases being able to be heard via telephone hearing. So, but still, I mean, in my view, it's not the same thing when you're having a trial done through video link. It's not the same thing when you're actually physically present in court, and doing that in court. So that's a totally different matter. But currently, the courts are heavily burdened with cases, because bearing in mind that, um, I take the immigration cases for example. If you're going to a court, an immigration court, say Hatton Cross as an example, in Feltham, so say they're running 18 courts or 19 courts. So on average, there will be an average of about 4 to 5 cases, 4 to 5 cases per court. So on a day on that court, on that building, it would be, on average, I would say they will probably hear about 100 cases or 90 to 100 cases per day. So they're not being able to hear those cases, since, I would say, March 2020. So now we are about 8 7 8 months down the road. So there are heavy backlogs, in the court system. So I'm not sure how long, this is going to hold, and because it is causing quite a lot of stress, and delays to a lot of people, because obviously delays and uncertainties, to a lot of people, because by the time their case are being heard, the circumstances may have changed. So it's something that we can't. Well, at the moment, it's like that, so we have to cope with it.
No, there's three things that I think are really clear when we're coming out here and promoting this. The first thing was all to do with court. The first thing was to do with employment tribunals, especially with employers dismissing or terminating. The second was for landlords, whether they could go to court and exercise in Section 21, which is to remove tenants. And the third was actually the tenants themselves, about landlords that may be putting undue pressure due to coronavirus, being such a factor. So right now, with those three key areas, so housing is two, for the landlord and the tenant, and employment. How are things? How do you envisage things getting back to a state of normality? How long do you think that's going to take?
Well, at the moment, put it this way. I mean, with this coronavirus issue, well, there are special guidelines that has been set by, well, issued by the government. There's special policies called now. You can Google them online. So it says coronavirus, coronavirus guidance, advice, etc. or policies. So currently, for landlords to serve Section 21 notice, previously was 2 months, but now it's 3 months. And then after that, you need to get through the court process, and that's taking a long time because with the current lockdown situation, so you're not allowed to. Technically, you're not allowed to evict people, so there are still proceedings. Those proceedings are being stayed until they get through until the lockdown is finished and again getting back to sort of normality. Well, in my view, it's going to take it's going to take a long time. I can't say how long until the situation gets under control. So it will take a long time for them to be able to, for landlords especially, to be able to evict somebody. So ideally, in normal circumstances, you could get a hearing within 1 month, 6 weeks, or could be 2 months. But now those hearings are taking at least, I would say, in my experience, 3 months or even more. So and also what I need to tell you as well is that there are special measures in court. So, for example, members of the public, there are a certain limited amount of people that can attend court. And in most cases, members of the public are not invited to hearings. So, give you an example. We had a case not too long ago in the Court of Appeal, in the Royal Court of Justice. So before the hearings, the court said, "Look, there's not going to be more than 10 people in the court." So that includes judges and the court clerks. So technically, there's only 3 people on both sides that can attend. So there are special measures in place, like for hearing to take place. But in the light of what you asked me, I don't see things getting back to normal. In the early part of 2021, maybe possibly in the late 2021. Given the fact that they've sort of identified some vaccine to fight the coronavirus issue. So possibly things will get better, after those time. I would say after maybe, I would say, in my view, maybe it's not likely to happen until maybe April or June next year.
We're going to see a lot of landlords getting more panicky, especially as businesses have been affected. Footfall, it just off the back of it, we've been locked down twice. So footfall is going to be affecting the brick and mortar type properties, commercial properties. So from that perspective, can landlords, of commercial property issue evictions and say, look, you're selling this property, kick you out, or does the tenant or the company do they have the ability to say, look, hold fire, don't do anything yet, please don't evict us. We still need to find a place to set up our business.
Well, I think at the moment, because of the current climate that we faced, landlords are being very careful in evicting all tenants, especially commercial properties. Well, you've seen. I mean, anywhere and everywhere you go, you see so many shutters down because so many businesses has gone bust and things like that. But especially landlords who've got commercial properties, I think they will probably think twice before locking down a tenant or who's been in arrears and things like that at the moment. And also, given the fact that the government is providing some kind of support to businesses, it's not in their best interest to lock down commercial property at the moment because evicting tenants from the commercial property, there's a high risk that the property will be empty for a period of time or a long period of time. There's no this coronavirus issue has transformed the world, I should say, and I think it's lucky the landlord will be very lucky to have tenants in their property and they should do their best to keep them in the property because the other thing with this coronavirus issue is that it has actually, in a way, I'm not going to say a blessing in disguise, but in some, for some businesses, it has been a blessing in disguise in the sense that a lot of businesses have realized that they don't need to have a commercial space to be able to operate their business.
Yeah.
So hence why you see a lot of shutters down or businesses moving, online or asking their staff to work from home. So technically, and in some situations, businesses they have realized that look, working from home may be more productive for the employee and the employer because obviously they don't have to pay they don't need to travel and they don't need to travel to their place of work and actually for getting them working from home will work than in the office. So a lot of businesses have realised that, and they've sort of closing down or returning their commercial properties and their commercial space.
Yeah, we've seen that in different areas. Guys, I have to apologize for Facebook. On behalf of Facebook, it's not my broadband. You guys have seen my live; it's absolutely amazing. It's not Bushan's broadband, and I know some people are trying to get the comments in because basically when I reconnected, I saw all the hearts and the likes and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So if you're trying to get through and leave a comment, just leave a comment in there. Bushan will address those comments individually, or I will address those comments individually. So please do not feel that we're ignoring you. Just keep doing what you need to do. I think it's just Facebook as a platform. It's just done a lot of updates recently, so I think it's the bugs are coming out everywhere. Okay, sorry, just getting back to it. Okay, so we look at commercial, we look at residential, we look at landlords, we look at tenants, we look at immigration as well, and it's kind of tricky because coronavirus has really affected everything right across the board, um, except for trade. Bringing in goods, so import and export environment.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing I wanted to find out for people who do import export business. There's a lot of scare stories at the moment about vans and trucks that are going to be lined up in the ports of Dover, that have been staying there. There's a lot of businesses that are, like you mentioned, that are becoming online, and many people are sourcing products from abroad. They're using Amazon as an example. So, from your sort of perspective, how would you recommend that person best protect themselves legally from, as in like a business owner? How would you say, look, okay, there's going to be some kind of issue here in terms of legislation. What would you give advice in terms of before you start a business to do import exporting? This is what you need to do.
Sorry, Hadi. I could not hear that because it was breaking up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that kind of link. So I'll give you the scenario because I had this as well as another question. People who are doing import and export,
Yeah.
yeah, from different countries that are outside of the EU. So these products are going to have tariffs put on them, especially if they're doing it from, let's say, Africa, like Nigeria or Sierra Leone, Somalia, those kind of areas. So, what would you advise people who are setting up these kinds of businesses to protect themselves? Is there any way that the UK can protect these kind of businesses?
You mean people setting up these import businesses in the UK or?
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, I mean, in terms of it all depends on how the business is set up. For example, if the in terms of import and export businesses at the moment, I don't think. Well, it's because there's a limited of facilities available in terms of planes coming in and ships coming in the UK. I think mainly cargo coming through air. So that's it's probably in my view it's probably it may be less than what it used to be. So well, in terms of people doing these type of business, they possibly using UK as a base and trading in the UK, EU might be a bit tricky if we're talking about what's going to happen after after the 31st of December, 2020. So it's very hard to say, really, or very hard to comment on this. I should say, from my perspective.
Okay. Right. Let me just move to that. Okay. So we got about 5 minutes left. So there's two final questions, which is basically I want to try and finish this on a positive as much as possible. So for you, what's been your takeaway from 2020?
Sorry, from?
For you,
Yeah.
what has been your takeaway from 2020? What do you feel you benefit from? Have you felt about 2020 as a year? Just in general.
Well, I think there's two things from two important messages to take away from 2020. Firstly, is that there's nothing certain, there's nothing guaranteed, and it's been a very testing and struggling year for everybody, including our business. So it's been very hard to survive the rough seas, I should say. But I'm just hoping that 2021 is going to be a new start and fresh start for everybody else. And I think it's a lesson to be learned from 2020 of this coronavirus issue is that nothing should be taken for granted. I think this is my view because it has changed a lot of people's lives. You don't. There's so many people that I know who are stuck in overseas really, and not able to come back to the UK for various reasons, and and a lot of people have I should say, in very short, a lot of people, or rich people, been taken away by coronavirus. So, sometimes, you've always heard that. I think in 2020 we've heard it most. A lot of people say, well, look, money, you may have money, but money can't buy you everything. And it's, this is what 2020 is one of the year that people should remember. You may have a lot of money, but you're stuck. You can't travel, you can't do anything. So it could change a lot of people's life. I mean, there are businesses or people who's had successful businesses, been bankrupt, I should say, or on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah, we were having a broadband issue, and I think that's because people are jumping on and they want to be a part of this. Okay, so the final thing is, you mentioned about 2021. Um, I'm a great believer in protecting. So, what is the best advice that you can give people for 2021? How to be protected in terms of their legal side, their financial side? What would you advise?
Well, I would say, positive thinking brings positive things. That's a starting point. Obviously, we put 2020 behind us, and I normally say, believe in the hope of salvation that tomorrow is going to be better than today. So, it's I think people should be very careful if they, in spending, especially using their savings and spending money, because after the furlough from March, which has been extended to March 2021, my view is that a lot of people would be in a difficult situation that they may lose their job. So therefore, I'm not hoping for that to happen, but it looks like a reality ahead. So my view would be 2021, people save up their money and use their money wisely, and in terms of making wise decisions in relation to their travel, because nowhere. I'm not going to say nowhere is safe, but there's anything can happen to anyone anywhere. So and this coronavirus issue has proven that it doesn't matter where you are, but you could still be affected or infected with this coronavirus, because if you think about it, I would say coronavirus has made us realize that the world, or how small the world is, because it has traveled everywhere, isn't it? All the countries in the world has been affected by this. So therefore, we need to be very careful in planning things, planning our finance, planning our trips abroad, like holidays or work and things like that. So I just say people need to be more careful.
There was one question when you said earlier that I had forgotten. Okay. And it was basically the scenario was the person got made redundant from furlough in September.
Yeah.
Rishi Sunak announced in November, take those people back that you made redundant in September. This guy's gone back to that previous employer. The employer has come out and said, sorry, we can't take you back. We've already filled the position with a subcontractor who's costing us less. Where do those employees, the ex-employees, stand now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. I mean, you see, I mean, a lot of people, from my experience, which I've come across in practice, is that a lot of companies, big companies or small companies or medium-sized companies, they're using this current situation, current pandemic situation, coronavirus situation, as an opportunity, if I could say, to to reorganize their business, and the main brand business restructure. So, for example, an example that I can give you is well, airlines companies. A lot of companies, they do realize that, look, why should I pay? They're paying somebody, say, 40 grand to do a job that they can get somebody else to do for 20 grand. So what they do is that they're using those grounds or excuses to say, well, look, we're doing management restructure, and we're going to terminate your management restructure, or we using financial reasons, saying that the business is going through financial difficulties and things like that, to either terminate their contract by giving them voluntary payment, like redundancy payment. Or they can, in some cases, what they've done is that they've sort of given the employee, terminate the employment, given notice saying that, look, we're going to, in the light of the current financial circumstances, we're going to terminate your employment, say 31st of December. However, we're going to offer you a pay cut of 25% or 30%, and that will be under a new contract starting from the 1st of January 2021. So technically, they haven't lost out in terms of their pensions and things like that, but it's just that it's new. It's a contract. The original contract has ended, and they've been given a new contract, but this time doing the same work, but with 30% less money. So, and a lot of companies have not demoted, but they've sort of got rid of certain high positions within the company, and where they, for example, if they had 5 people in high positions, they've reduced that into 3 people. So, given that the workload is being shared between the 3, as opposed to 5 before, so we have different scenarios. So, it's very, people who's been made redundant. There's very little that they can do. There's not much they can do, because in normal circumstances, if they are being made redundant, they will be signing what we call, in most cases, a compromise agreement. So in other words, that's a settlement agreement. So, and the way they work these documents is that, well, look, you have to sign these documents to be able to receive your redundancy money. And once you've signed these documents, and that's the end of your claim. You can't bring any action or any claim or anything against the company. There are different clauses to these documents, and obviously we draft them a lot of times. So and there are certain documents where what we call there are some clauses that we call restrictive covenants. So there are clauses to prevent the employee from doing certain things, as for example, could be working. They are prevented from working for a competitor or working for another company within a certain radius, and all that kind of stuff, and different clauses that can be added. So if they do, certain people want to take these matters to the employment tribunal, but at the moment it's taking a long time, or very long time, for the case to be processed and to be heard in court. So it's a long time, and they've already got a heavy backlog of so many cases to be processed. So there's very little people can do. So best thing is to look for alternative employment. I mean, certain people have to think of it as an exercise of damage limitation and look for other jobs and other opportunities. There's no point, in my view. I mean, there are certain cases. I mean, it's based on a case to case basis. So, in most cases, or in certain cases, you'll be fighting a losing battle. So, people have to think very wisely before embarking onto legal actions, and or contemplating legal actions and all that kind of stuff.
That is the biggest problem right now for many people, which is whether they should pursue legal action, knowing fully well that it may not go anywhere for another year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to take a long time before the court is no longer the same place as it used to be. I mean, I'm not saying, it's not that you file a case today, an employment claim, and then you expect things to happen through a normal calendar. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. It's not possible.
Which is a sad reality. So, on that basis, what I'm gonna do, we've come to almost 8 o'clock now. So, Bushan, if you'd like to say where is your solicitor's firm, please, to let everyone know how they can contact you.
Sorry, Hadi, I did not hear that.
That's okay. Would you like to let everyone know how people can contact you if they connecting? It was just reconnecting. Yeah. So if you'd like to let people know, or drop your Lambeth solicitors in the comments afterwards,
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
look, we're based in Brixton in southwest London. So we deal with various matters. One of our area of speciality is immigration, but we have a number of people working here dealing with all sorts of matters. So any issues, or if anyone has any issues or any advice that they do want, they can email me or write to me in confidence. Obviously, because of confidentiality issues. So you can write to me on my email address, which I'll give it to you. So you can either call me or write to me on my email, which is bdeepchand at lambethsolicitor.com. So B for Bravo, and then Deepchand, as in DEEPCHAND, at lambethsolicitor.com. So Lambeth Solicitor is singular. Or you can call me on 0207095 or you can visit us at lambethsolicitor.com. And otherwise, you can visit our office, which is first floor, 463 to 465 Brixton Road, London, SW9 8HL.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Vincent, for joining us. we know we've had some internet issues here. It's just Facebook, guys. It's just Facebook. So tune in tomorrow for me. I'll be doing my Facebook Live at 7 o'clock, and it's just going to be finding out what you guys have been going through in this time during this lockdown period. Have you learned anything new? Has it affected you badly? Have you had anything good from it? So let me know, and I want to hear from you. So that'll be tomorrow at 7 p.m. And thanks a lot for this, guys. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves. See you later. Bye.